How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
So easy for RCB. Once they're away from home, they look like a different team. They've outclassed the Rajasthan Royals in what was their first home game at Jaipur. And Virat Kohli, just master of chasers as always, controls the innings, takes them over the line. They've done it in the end oh so comfortably with 9 wickets to spare. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. We look back at the game at Jaipur and we look ahead to the first game in Delhi of this year's IPL as well. Piyush Chawla, Wasim Jaffer, and the man who predicted RR will defend this. Now that you have started this thing of going for that out-of-the-box prediction and putting it on your social like you did yesterday for Sunrisers, I will beat the drum about all these predictions that you do.
I've got ahead of myself. My ego is swelled, and it's right that you cut me back down to size.
Excellent. I've been through that myself. It's a tough and long process, but we'll help you through it. How easy was that? Wasim, you thought they'll get over the line, but you thought it'll also be a close game. Why was it so comfortable for RCB?
Well, I just think the batters, I think Phil Salt is the main difference because he gets going and then he makes, hell of an easy job for the other batters. He puts the team so much ahead that it becomes easier. And so we noticed, even in the game that they lost in Bengaluru, the way he started looked like a different game when the other batters batted. So I think, Phil Salt has a major role to play in that.
I mean, he's just doing what he did for the title-winning side last year, PC, isn't he? What a wonderful buy at the auction. What a terrific player to have for a Virat Kohli also at the other end. Phil Salt just perfect for the top.
Well, and especially on these kind of surfaces, which was like a bit on the slower side, the ball was not coming onto the bat, but he went out there with the intent and he knew that I have to utilize the new ball and the power play, and he exactly did the same. The way he batted, he made things look really easy. It wasn't that kind of a wicket which will be that easy, but he made it look easy. So it really eases off the pressure from someone like Virat as well, because he can take his time then, and now we all know what kind of a player Virat Kohli is, who can just take the game deep and finish off the games.
I mean, we know that he's that kind of player and it doesn't surprise us that he does this, but just the remarkable level of consistency at a time when his peers, Rohit Sharma's form, we discussed many times, or a lot of the other guys who've been around as long, but Kohli shows no signs of aging, losing form, not doing what we expect him to do. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, that's the key, that's why he has been, we just put him in the top of the list of white ball cricket just because of this reason. When he goes out there, he makes things look so easy, and even in the mid-show we had a discussion about this, that this is a perfect platform for Virat Kohli. Like, he's in a good form, he's getting runs this season, like earlier also he has got so many runs, but this season he started off really well. And when you're chasing 173 odd runs and you get that kind of a start with Phil Salt, doing what he does the best. So Virat Kohli, he's going to go not out for sure then.
I mean, that's now 66 50-plus scores in the history of the IPL. 66. We were discussing this casually yesterday. When we talk about the greats like Kohli and co, we don't say, oh, what a good retention. But at 21 crore, when you look at some of the guys in all the other franchises, 18 crore, 20 crore, 24 crore and whatnot. But Kohli is one of the best retentions.
Yeah.
Which is not something we say often with that category of player.
Yeah, and he's only ever been picked once, I think, in an IPL, because he's been retained every year since that first season when he got the second pick in the under-19 draft, I think, all the way back in 2007.
Delhi decided to go another direction and RCB picked Virat Kohli, the famous story, of course.
Yeah, so I think, I think you guys are completely spot on there, that he's someone who they've managed to, keep hold of without any major issues over the past, 18 years now, and he's been so consistent churning out the runs. It's quite hard to get your head around 66 50-plus scores, isn't it? It's the volume of runs in that is wild.
It's also nice to see that in spite of all this language changing, where when he bats first, he's still batting in the way that we expect now, a top order batter to bat. But in the chase, it's almost like this game doesn't get affected at all. There's no question of confusing him or changing his power hitting, or none of that seems amiss for Kohli.
Yeah, I mean, he's got game for all situations.
Yeah.
Today we saw him step out and hit sixes. Sometimes we didn't see that before, but now he does that. He uses that slog sweep as well. So he knows which bowler to take charge, and I mean, he's a master. He's got 100 plus 50s in T20 also. So hell of a numbers. It's. I mean, I don't think we should be sitting here and talking about it. He's such a great player.
No, we should, sir. Why not? Yeah. I'm actually thinking we should play a game of the 16 crore plus list at the auction and see out in terms of output who has actually justified the price tag. I can't think of anyone barring Nicholas Puran and the batters at least.
Yeah, Clarkson's shown glimpses, hasn't he? But probably not quite the same form as last year. Puran's the obvious standout.
Shreyas, perhaps to a degree. But everyone at the Rajasthan camp as well, a lot of high price retentions. That's going to come under scrutiny. Right, let's talk Rajasthan Royals. This was so easy for RCB, but we were also counting how many drop catches went down today. And including that of Kohli by Riyan Parag. I don't remember when Parag dropped a catch actually last. I don't know if you do.
Well, actually, he's one of the safest hand in the outfield or infield, but that was one of the easiest of catches which he dropped. And Kohli was like under 10 at that time.
Sandeep's first ball.
Yeah,
so in a complete different game.
So it would have been the 8th time for Sandeep. And then if you give a chance to a player like Virat Kohli, and then you expect him to make another mistake, it's not going to happen because he's mastered this art of chase, and that's how easily he has done it. We were talking about slow surface, low bounce, all that thing, but he just made sure that he's there till the end and make the things easy for the team.
I mean, Rajasthan played well. If I can say that in terms of getting Jaiswal getting 75 and 30s, but somehow well doesn't seem good enough. That's what I'm trying to get for RR. You're just nodding your head. You think they played an awful game.
No, I feel like they're a really frustrating team to watch.
Yes.
Because of the fact that they retain 5 batters, so they clearly think that that's one of their strengths. And yet when you watch them bat, they look like a team that's set up to try and get a pass score to keep wickets in hand and then back their bowlers. So why did they retain 5 batters and then they seem to be expecting them only to get pass scores rather than going above and beyond, trying to get match-winning totals? And I also still think they're just not getting enough out of the impact rule at all. I think if you compare them to the rest of the league, other teams are batting much deeper, whereas RR just don't look happy to take the risks that other teams do.
And today they have perhaps went a little more measured and therefore didn't use their resources. I know Piyush said that Nitish Rana could have been coming in earlier. Every game, it's like we're talking about something that tactically RR haven't done right. What does that tell us about the team?
I just think from the auction time, the mentality, the thinking of, we've talked about, letting go of, gun players, and then not recruiting the, same quality players. You go into a mega auction thinking you're building up a team for 3 years. They'll be surprised. I mean, can't be competitive with this team, and for the next 2 years, I don't see them being competitive unless you've got some players available.
So strange, because it's not like it's the same setup. Rahul Dravid's come in, very astute coach. We know all about what he planned for the T20 World Cup in 2024, which worked well. A lot of the core players retained, same captain. Lots of young promising stars that are actually now playing for India. Jaiswal, Parag and Jurel, and yet it's the problem that the franchise had even before this management and still has it now. Can you explain it?
Well, see, when you come for the mega auction, you want to retain your players. First thing you see whether he'll give me all the 14 games or not. And then after that, okay, I understand you want to invest on the young players. Parag has done well for you. Jurel has been really good. And Jaiswal and Samson. But when you release a player like Josh Butler, you have to have at least like-to-like replacement. Okay, Butler's replacement is not going to be that easy, but still you have to look for somebody. You have your list ready of at least 3-4 players where you can just go for them in the auction. Then you have retained only one overseas batter and you didn't buy anyone in the auction. Then you let go, if you come to bowling department, you let go of Yuzvendra Chahal, who picked up more than 60 wickets for you in 3 seasons, which is a very big number. Yeah. And then Trent Bolt. So if you letting Trent Bolt go, then like-to-like replacement can't be Fazal Farooqi, to be honest. And then you're talking about the spinners. If Ashwin is going, Tikshana can't be that. So you have to look all these things into the consideration. Yuzi is going, Hasranga. Hasranga has done well in 1 season of IPL, but is he that effective now? Because I know Sri Lanka, he's done well for them, but is he doing that against the top international teams? He's doing against the associate nations, and that makes a huge difference. When you come to IPL, it's a big difference, to be honest.
I've seen that stat broken up many times. Hasranga versus, if not the associate, at least the lower ranked full members as well, versus when he plays high level. And if I compare RCB in contrast, they lost Faf, they got Phil Salt. They lost DK, they got Jitesh Sharma. Maxwell went, Liam Livingston's come, right? At least you're not really seeing a decline.
Yeah.
You're looking at upgrades, which I guess is the sign of a better auction than RR.
And we can see the result on the points table as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where they've come head to head and they've not looked anywhere near it. Anything at all that RR could have done differently in the first innings, or do we credit the RCB bowling which set this game up? This looked like a well below par score. Did the surface play differently in your eyes?
Well, surface was the same throughout the game. Just that if you see the batting of Phil Salt and the openers from Rajasthan Royals, they didn't lose a wicket in the first 6 overs. But still they were just not even 50 runs on the board. And we expect if you are not losing a wicket, no matter how the wicket is, you are at least 55 to 60 runs. And that's where they wanted to take that step up. We heard Sanju Samson saying that, we want to take it deeper because of the depth of the batting, but still you have to take some chances as a batting unit.
Just taking a few comments coming through right now. And the frustration that Matt pointed out, it's a good word. It's a frustrating team to not quite try and understand. There's one saying, Ujjwal is saying, Matt is crying watching Salt performing exactly opposite to what he did in the Champions Trophy. He came in very poor form actually. We should remind the viewers of that we thought that Salt is in such poor form, this might trouble RCB, but brilliant.
I think he's so much better in this format than 50 overs. I think he almost has too much time in 50 over cricket and doesn't know how to play, whereas when he's got the opportunity to go out and swing like he did tonight. I mean, he hit more sixes alone than RR did in their whole innings, 6 to 5.
That tells you something. Parag, question on Parag. After what he had last season, has he been a disappointment so far, and what explains his lack of major impact this year?
Yeah, it's a different season altogether. Last year he was in red hot form. He's not turned those starts into big scores this season, and that is hurting Royals. Probably he hasn't played a lot of cricket. He was injured most of the season, coming in with not much game time. But yeah, I mean the forms of those players are hurting. Even Sanju Samson today, 19 balls, 17, very unlike Sanju Samson inning. Like Piyush mentioned, when you don't lose wicket, you still haven't got 50 in the power play. That's not how you need to bat in the power plays.
There's some more on Nitish Rana, but I think Piyush made the point that Rana coming ahead would have been a much better call at the time. Switching to their bowling quickly, they're not giving Akash Madwal a chance. Deshpande isn't firing. I mean, I feel it's almost harsh to criticize their bowlers because their bowlers have limitations, with due respect to them. Madwal to Deshpande is not necessarily a huge upgrade.
And they're doing a decent job, to be very honest. But they're not getting enough runs on the board to do that.
Sure.
In one game, obviously, where they bowled first, they leaked too many runs. But at the same time, you have to give it to the bowlers that they have to do something different. And Madwal, if you want, and looking at the form of Tikshana, I would say, he's not doing anything special. He's going 10 runs, more than 10 runs per over in the last 2-3 games. So there you can think that Madwal can come in. And Kumar Karthikeyan, he's a good spinner, so you can continue with him. So that will give you another option.
I mean, it's like there is no one department that we can discuss about RR. Everything, and the fielding we've just touched upon today was below par, well below par.
I feel like it does all I sound like a broken record, but it all feels like it comes back to that impact sub conversation for me. And that if RR today had fielded a different balance of the side, they put an extra specialist batter in rather than a specialist bowler.
So what is their remedy? Their remedy is, instead of having this 11 as their batting first 11.
Yeah, you sub in a bowler at the innings break, and then you rely on Parag and Rana as your 6th and 7th bowling options, but you bank on 5 bowlers effectively, rather than doing what they're doing at the moment, which feels like not backing their batting depth enough, so therefore they're underpowered with the bat, and then they have 6, 7, I think they used 7 bowlers today.
Right, no, but they used as many as 7 with Parag bowling 1 over. But my point is, when they've batted Shubham Dubey in the first 7, right, you still have him at 7, but you have one of Hasaranga or Archer at 8. Whereas you have Krunal Pandya batting 8, or you have, batters of a little more pedigree in the team
comes back
doing
to
well.
the lack of all-rounders, doesn't it? Which, feels like such a big contrast with Dravid's India team as well.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it over there for the time being. Honestly, there's nothing else. We were doing this on Insta Live and not on the show, so I should bring it up. RCB away from home. Just stay on the road. Is there a...
That's what I was saying.
It's just amazing how well they play.
That's what I'm saying. You play 7 games on the road, you win 7 games. Then when you go home, you play your remaining games. So that will be less pressure. You win 2-3 games and you're through to the playoffs.
At what point do they actually start thinking like, oh gosh, we have to go back to the Chinnaswamy. Because their schedule is so unique. They're away, home, away, home, away, home, away. And they finish at home with 2 games. So they finish with 2 at home. Do RCB need an alternate home venue, Mr. Jaffer? This will go viral on your social media. You are a viral man anyway.
I don't know what they've got, but they, apart from this season, they have a good record in Chinnaswamy. Just this season, it's very stark difference, but they would want to change that.
I think for starters, what they need to do is start chasing at the Chinnaswamy. That might change it up. The 2 games, I think, if I remember,
Yeah, they've won 2 out of 2 chasing.
GT and DC were both batting first.
Yeah, and
It'll be nice if they start chasing at the Chinnaswamy. Then let's see. Right, rapid fire review of the game. We have to move our eye to what's happening in Delhi. The Mumbai Indians desperately need some points, and Delhi are the only unbeaten team. But before that, rapid fire review of RR versus RCB. Gentlemen, you know how this works. Wasim, let me start with you. Were Rajasthan too sedate with the bat? What explains their initial approach?
I think just defensive approach and not going all out attack, which you need at this point of time. If they need to chase victories, they need to change their approach.
Okay, Piyush, Krunal Pandya, 1 for 29, the wicket of Sanju Samson. How crucial were his overs?
I think those 4 overs were really crucial, coming in that middle phase when obviously they had a partnership and both of them is a kind of player that they can accelerate from there. So getting that wicket was really important.
Match 208 runs at a strike rate of 185. Is Phil Salt RCB's best addition to this cycle?
I think so, yeah. I think Bhuvi Kumar's been very good as well, but I think Salt looks like the game changer at the top.
Okay, Wasim, why did Yashasvi Jaiswal appear more fluent than the rest of Rajasthan's batters?
I think it just took more time today, and I think it concentrated more on timing the ball rather than hitting it really hard. That was quite visible today.
All right. Piyush, how would the game, do you think, have panned out had Parag taken that catch of Kohli early?
Well, then it wouldn't have been that easy the way it looked like because the wicket was not that easy. Actually, Virat made it look easy the way he batted. So it would have been a different kind of a chase then.
And all of you can jump in on this. 66 scores of 50 plus. Is Kohli the IPL's timeless batter?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Batter for all time.
Yeah, season 1 to 18.
Yep. GOAT. Right. Kohli carries on. Points go RCB's way. Let's flip now to Hardik Pandya, Rohit Sharma and the travelling Mumbai Indians at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi, where the Capitals are the team to look out for, the only unbeaten side in this year's IPL. Toss has taken place in Delhi. DC will bowl first, so MI have been put in. I don't think there's a lot of striking team news coming through, but let's just get a reaction. Delhi, high scoring ground, isn't it, Wasim? We expect it to be at least high scoring. Winning the toss and putting MI in, how does that tilt the initial stakes of this game?
I think it's a good move. On those small grounds, on a good wicket, if the dew comes in, it'll make Delhi's job easier. And once you know what you're chasing, I think Delhi has been really good about it. And they look a very solid unit as well with so much confidence with 4 wins out of 4.
No Faf du Plessis. He's not even on the bench, so I believe he's injured. He did struggle in that last game at the Chinnaswamy.
Yeah, I think he did some kind of muscle in the field, didn't he?
That's why you should just point out there and ask them what muscle is it. We've never had sporting injuries, so I'm sure you and me haven't. But yeah, it looks like Faf's going to miss another one. The last time Faf missed, KL Rahul opened.
Yeah, so...
Is that likely to happen today, do you think?
Yeah, because KL is a kind of player and he's in a red hot form and the way he's batting, he can bat at any number. Even if you send him at number 10, he'll go and score runs there as well. So that's the beauty of KL Rahul.
I don't think we discussed the celebration as much, given, the game was such a good game to watch at the Chase. But after looking at how it's built over the last few days, KL celebration, how much it meant to him, he's not necessarily that animated and expressive on these things. He has the little shutting the noise or whatever that is. But did that tell you something about what kind of headspace he might be in this time round?
Well, he's very expressive nowadays. Even in Champions Trophy, we've seen that, when he won the game for India in the final, even in the league stage, he expressed, which never happened with KL. So, and the way he's answering in the media as well, so goes on to show that, he's had enough of, listening to the people that, saying negative things about. We've heard about Kevin Peterson as well, what he's answered and all that. But nice to see the way KL is approaching, T20 cricket, which is good to see.
Yeah. Was it some kind of film scene also that he did? I believe it was.
It was just
Kantara, isn't it?
Kantara. It was showing something on the
Yeah,
social media.
My territory is like
My
that.
territory in.
Yeah, he's more the social media genius. Yeah, and I wonder if that will become a thing now when you go to your home ground. Imagine Kohli going to Delhi and smashing it and then doing that and saying, my ground.
I think I saw, did Varun Chakravarti did something similar after their win at CSK the other day?
He didn't. I didn't see it only. He needs to do it with a bat, which is very unlikely for
Even
Orange.
I didn't see it.
With the ball, it doesn't have the same, the same impact. Sorry, PC, but the bat
that's
is so much cooler to wield. Of course, Piyush is very capable with the bat also. I actually saw a thing on my Twitter recently on Piyush hitting the winning runs in the IPL final and how he ran.
That was in Bangalore.
Bangalore, yes.
Yes. So, but I can't do that in Bangalore. It's my ground. And I can say that in a way because I've spent so much time at NCA.
You covered the whole Chinnaswamy when you ran. You remember that?
So that was like a proper sprint.
Team news. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at how Delhi shape up in the absence of Faf du Plessis. 3 overseas named with the option, even though this is a team that's bowling first, of Chamira and Ferreira on the bench. Now, Donovan Ferreira, we haven't seen him just yet, but they could possibly just go extra Indian batter. Rizvi, Karun Nair, they have options. So that is how they do set up. And they've listed it. Looks like KL Rahul will indeed open. Still strong team though, Piyush?
Well, the team is in form. So one player missing here and there should not make that much of a difference. Obviously, the caliber of Faf is different,
Yeah.
but missing him shouldn't make that much of a difference because if you see, one batter will definitely come in after the bowling is over.
Yeah.
So
I'll just point out that the team sheet has listed Porel to open, whatever it's worth.
Okay. So Porel, but
So would you move KL from 4?
well, see, he scored runs at every position. So it depends what kind of a score they are chasing.
Yeah.
It depends on that situation as well.
What about you, Wasim? Because I think the Chennai game they were batting first. It was an afternoon game. So if you're in chases, especially after the last game, in chases, would you like to see KL to stick in the middle order?
No, I would want him to open.
All right.
Because if he gets in, then he can make sure that he gets the job done like he did against RCB. Rizvi or Karun might come in, but that looks a very solid team.
Interested to see Fraser McGurk back at the Kotley. He struck at 274 there last year. And that was really where he made a name for himself in the IPL. So I think that'll be a really exciting thing to see. He's obviously struggled a bit so far this season, but the ball doesn't tend to move around very much there early on. You can see some of those surfaces that have that almost sort of glass-like sheen on them. So yeah, if it's another flat one, I think he'll be licking his lips.
He's due. And I wonder if they were not winning or if Faf was fit, whether they would have changed this team. But do you sense that Fraser McGurk's on a bit of a timeline or no? They'll just back him no matter what.
I think when Faf comes in, they'll probably have to think about it because Rizvi is there and then Karun is in such a good form. You're tempted to play him at number 4. KL, he can bat at top, he can bat at 4. So I think, they'll give him 1 or 2 games and then see where he stands.
Ish?
Yeah, maybe because he's the one who made his name at that Firozshah Kotla ground. So they maybe want to give him a couple of more chances.
Yep.
Because if he clicks, then we know what he is capable of and what he has done last year for Delhi. So they might go with him for 1 or 2 more games.
Right. Nothing like playing Jasprit Bumrah when you're under pressure. But he took down Bumrah, as I recall, last season when we were wondering how he'll approach the matchup there. But as we know, Delhi have put Mumbai Indians in and it's an unchanged Mumbai Indians team from the one that has had a bit of a break now and went down to RCB in quite a thrilling game Monday night. Will Jacks has also been backed and that is something we need to discuss because he's not been among the runs. So no changes over there and this is the batting 11. We expect in the bowling to have either the option, there's Karan Sharma possibly, Ashwini Kumar. So that's the 2 that likely may come in. Would you have made any changes for MI at all after the last game?
Well, not really required because it was a kind of a game. They played some good cricket. It's just that it was an exciting encounter.
I think Deepak Chair is an interesting one, isn't it? As far as
Well,
Ashwini and
Deepak
him.
has not been amongst the wicket and he's not bowling his best. It's about not only about getting the wicket, but he's not bowling well also. But he's also, I would say, might be on a timeline that another 1 or 2 chances because Ashwini Kumar has done well and he is warming the bench out there.
they've actually really struggled with the ball and the power play. You think Bolt and Deepak Chahar are two of the leading wicket takers in power play history, but I think Bolt's only got 2 in the power play and Chahar 3, both of them pretty expensive as well, particularly Chahar.
In fairness, they've only had 2 Wankhede games, and one of them was KKR. And I think when they bought them, they were looking at those 7 Wankhede games. But if they don't win a few away from home, those Wankhede games may not matter. For now, venues become such a big part of the conversation. We know what Mumbai do with their venue. It's not been a happy time with them at the start of this season. Chennai as well. Delhi. How did Delhi fare at the Arun Jaitley Stadium? What kind of venue is it supposed to be? And I think the simplest answer is, Matt.
Runs. It tends to be a flat one. I think it was the highest scoring venue last year in terms of ones that are regular home grounds. I think Vizag maybe just edged it, which is another Delhi home venue. And you can see they're sub 4 balls per boundary on average, which tells you just how flat it tended to be. I think PSU probably bowled there in that game against DC, and it can tell us that it was a tough place for any bowler.
Not only about the wicket, because there are a lot of places where you get flat wicket, but the boundaries are very small. One side, the straight boundary is small. Like a fast bowler, when he starts from his run up, it looks like he's just running literally from the boundary line. It's that short. So you can imagine the bowler's thought process. Okay, if I'm bowling from this end, even the miss hit will go for 6. So you have to be very careful about that. And if you bowl anything up, we have seen in the longer boundaries also, if you bowl anything up, it's out of the ground. And this one, and thinking that as a bowler, and as a batter, what happens when you bowl something up and batter thinks, okay, even if I mistime it, it will go for 6. In that circumstances, he end up hitting even further because he has no pressure about that.
He's not looking to middle it.
Exactly.
And that's when you middle it more.
Exactly.
Is that true as a top order batter, Mr. Jaffer?
I think it just give you confidence that you're going to clear the boundary pretty easily. So you back yourself where on some grounds you won't.
When you get hit for 6 way back, does it hurt more than when you just get it when the fielders just
at the end of the day, it's a 6, no matter you hit 120 meters or you hit 60 meters.
In a way, I believe it's 13 sixes on an average in an innings. So you get 100, is that in a game or in an innings? I'll just tell you in a second. Per innings. So that means 100 runs just come in 6s, effectively. So what is the best thing a bowler can keep in mind when bowling at such a high scoring, lopsided venue?
Well, I think to start with, you have to back your strength. And if the ball is moving a bit, because it's a fresh wicket, the first game happening of the season, so you try to bowl up and try to swing the ball and try to get a wicket, because in that process you end up bowling few good balls, and if that doesn't happen, then you shift to plan B, and whatever the plan B of a bowler, because it changes from bowler to bowler, so that way you have to think.
People like you, of course, would say it's not necessarily about taking wickets, it's about bowling at the right matchup.
No, I would agree there with Piyush. I think that at grounds like this,
Stop sucking up now.
wicket taking is absolutely vital. I think that's very much, we're on the same page here.
Yeah, Mr. Jaffer is still in the middle today. I requested a swap.
He came and he sat there, so I came, so I was the last one. So.
All right. Let's just give you something to keep in mind when it comes to bowlers. Pacers, spinners, how do they go? At Delhi, 63.8% of the overs bowled by pacers. Economies between 11.5 and 10.5. Spinners are slightly more economical, if I can say that, at 10.5. Balls per 6, though, the pacers go a lot more frequently than the spinners do.
Yeah, and Delhi have obviously packed their team with 3 genuine spin options this year as well, which is an interesting thing to see how those guys go at home. Aksar's probably slightly underbowled himself so far this year, but I think has a pretty good record against a few of the players in MI's middle order, so that'll be an interesting one to observe. And also I think Kuldeep Yadav is obviously such a big part of DC's attack. I'm sure he'll be looking to attack.
I think this is a nice time to go into whether Delhi, whose success has been built on not just Kuldeep but Vipraj Nigam. Nigam has been the lead spinner, if I can call him that, because he comes in earlier, bowls in the power play.
And in the power play also, he bowls the most difficult over.
Yeah,
because 5 or 6 is the most difficult over. The batters have said they're going for a big one. And if you look at the numbers, the economy rate, Vipraj Nigam is quite impressive with 8.4 because he has bowled at a difficult time.
Correct. 13 wickets between them. Aksar's been a little shy, but tell me how Vipraj and Kuldeep might go at Delhi now. What about Vipraj? Kuldeep has experience.
Vipraj will gonna stick to the same basics what worked for him. He's not gonna try anything different because he's so new to the circuit. he won't be having a plan B or C that ways. He knows that he's in a good form. He's bowling well when he's backing his strength. So he's just going to go the same way.
Kuldeep Yadav bowled really well over here. And I wonder if we can break down what the reason for his success is at a ground where it's not supposed to be as easy. That's his record at Delhi in last year's IPL. 9 wickets, economy rate of 9.4 is actually not bad. Given we've seen average scores of 250 and whatnot, or rather 260 was the highest score here. See?
I just think his consistency of landing the ball, there and thereabouts, where it's, if the batters don't pick him because he can spin both ways, and he's become very consistent. And even if the batters go after him, he's not shaken at all. He comes back and bowl the same ball and get the wicket. So I think he's just mentally so strong.
Yeah.
And his consistency and his deception makes him unique.
It's also interesting that MI, with every game, an opposition spinner has derailed their game. Noor Ahmed, Sai Kishore, Suyash Sharma, Digvesh Rathi. So are we seeing a team that has a bit of a problem against spin? You got something more?
They're the second slowest scorers against spin so far this year, with a scoring rate below 8 runs per over. Which I think tells you that they've struggled generally with the bat. They've obviously had a quiet start to the season, full stop. But yeah, the fact that only CSK, who have obviously, we've spoken at length about their struggles against all types of bowling really with the bat, but the fact that they're the only team to have scored slower against spin speaks volumes.
How is
those
it that
those
team?
two wrist spinners, I feel, other than Varun and Sunil Narayan, those are the two really solid spinners they've got in considering all the other teams. Makes it very, difficult for the batters to get that momentum in the middle overs.
But why is this Mumbai team not taking spin down? With not just the foreign players who are inexperienced like Jackson Rickleton, but Surya has got stuck, Tilak has got stuck.
Well, I think the form has to do with this because Surya has been coming from a really down form because he didn't get that many runs when he was playing T20Is. He came here, he started milling the balls, and you still need to give little more time to him as a batter. And then Tilak is, actually I felt he was getting those big number of runs at number 3. But he's batting lower down the order, so that's really making a difference.
Is it batting position, do you sense, or is there something about bowlers now knowing how to bowl to Surya Kumar Yadav?
Yeah, I think I just feel, not against spinners. I feel that against fast bowlers, he's looking every time he's looking to hit, down the square leg or fine leg boundary. So they've got fielders there. I just feel he shuts himself down the offside. And even against spinners, the only option I feel he's got is sweep. And they stack up the fielders accordingly.
Yeah.
So, he needs to outthink the bowlers a little bit more. Because when he started, he was much stronger in the offside as well.
Yeah, he used to hit a lot of inside out.
Yeah.
And he could hit in freakish areas, even on the offside. Why do you think he's closed that side now? Is this because he's not in form, like Piyush says, and confident? Could it be an issue of strength, age, fitness, any of that?
I don't know. I just think he's got so many runs there that he's only focusing on those areas because he's picking up wrong balls to hit now. That's why you see a lot of top edges go up in the air and he's got out so many times. So he needs to think, other ways of scoring runs. Once he starts scoring there, the bowlers will come back to him and then he can, start scoring there as well.
Well, it's something similar to bowling as well. When you are not in the best of the form, so as a bowler, you go back to your best delivery, which you think is the best option for you. So we have seen Surya over the years scoring a lot of runs over square leg, fine leg, and when you're not getting runs, so anything you see slightly in that area, you go there automatically. Like it's just the instinct that, okay, it's in my area, I go for it. So as a bowler also it happens when you're not going through a good form. So for example, me, I am a leg spinner, but I have more confidence on my wrong one.
Right.
So if things are not going my way, I'll come and bowl like good 3 wrong one in an over instead of bowling 1 or 2. So that's what is happening, I feel, at the moment.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of that Surya innings when Suyash Sharma kept bowling wide outside off, wide outside off. Not once did he even attempt to go there.
And he plays really well over covers. We have seen that in the past. He plays really well straight down the ground as well, like stepping out and hitting over bowler's head and over cover. But he has not used that. So that's what happens now. When you are not in the best of the form, so you go back to your strength that worked for you.
Tricky. They have quite a few people out of form. I mean, Rohit Sharma hasn't had a big score just yet.
I think the batting position also is a problem for MI because for India, Tilak Verma bats at number 3, but here he bats at number 5 because of the problem, Will Jacks bats at number 3. So that is also another issue.
I think you brought up something on why it makes sense to have Tilak at 5 as a left-hander.
Not necessarily. I think that the problem with MI, actually, if you think back to that auction where they effectively sort of had a swap deal almost with RCB for Tim David and Will Jacks, I think MI's lineup would look so much stronger if you had Tim David coming in at 7 and everyone else shuffling up. I think Namandir's been...
It's a bit top-heavy now, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's not a sort of genuine finisher beyond Hardik, really, whereas...
Right. Yeah. Let's just quickly set up... Oh, actually, we can wait for it since Delhi are bowling first, because I think you did a lovely story on KL Rahul. But we can maybe save it for the...
delayed gratification one.
Well, go on then. Let's talk KL Rahul. I've exceeded my time here, but we'll spend... we'll do that story. Let's talk KL Rahul.
Well, I've loved watching KL Rahul bat this year. It's been brilliant to see, I think. He's obviously been someone who has gone through different phases in his IPL career where he sort of burst onto the scene at RCB and was scoring quickly. He's been a bit sluggish for a few years, but has really seemed to thrive again this year since he's joined Delhi Capitals. We saw in his first innings of the season, he went really hard from ball 1. But actually, in the past couple of games, so against RCB and against CSK as well, we've seen him start a little bit slowly, give himself a bit of time. That's obviously in 2 different batting positions as well, one at number 4, one opening the batting.
I'm loving this. First, let me just see acceleration, strike rate. Explain this to me.
So you can see there that he started against RCB with 35 off his first 30 balls and 29 off his first 23 against CSK. But then it's almost like at one point in each innings, he's found a gear switch where he's suddenly flown for the end of the innings. I think the really interesting thing to see today, firstly, is going to be where he bats, but secondly, what sort of intent he comes out with and how much of this has been situational. We obviously saw him have that incredibly fast start against Sunrisers when the game was pretty much already won, versus how much of it is his new mindset, because he's spoken at length about, in the past he said things like strike rate is overrated. Now he's saying the team that scores more boundaries wins most games in T20.
He's okay to have changed his opinion.
No, I think it's good. I'm all
Very
for
good.
it. I think he's got even better.
What is interesting is that to some degree, Chepauk batting first in the afternoon, slightly tricky. Chinnaswamy also that day was not straightforward, but today he's playing at a flat ground. Yeah. So what is the likely build-up of, how does he build an innings here? Does he play like how he played that first game, 15 of 5, where he just comes and clears the front leg and goes?
Well, I think in the first game he batted at number 4. If he opens today, obviously it's going to be a different story. But I think if it's a flat track, I think he needs to be aggressive. Fraser McGurk, if he gets going, he's going to make job easier for him. So he can take his time. But depending what kind of score they are chasing, it depends on all of that.
There was that one drop catch though in the RCB game, wasn't there? When he cleared his leg, Patidar put him down. And I just wonder whether he also would have played differently. It looked like he was again coming to
just come and go for everything. And
then suddenly he dropped guard and played that innings.
Then he realized that he's somebody who has to bat deep if they want to see DC over the line, and that's what exactly he did. But now after getting those 2 good scores and that too, in a crunch situation on a difficult surface, so when he'll come to this game and we are talking about it's going to be a flat wicket, but first game of the season, you never know what kind of a surface it is. You only get to know after 2-3 overs, but generally it's a flat wicket at Firozshah Kotla. But I'm saying, totally.
You tried your best to just qualify it a little bit. We never really know what it's like in the first 2-3 overs, but generally it's flat.
That's what it is. So let's see.
He tried to say it so sweetly with a straight face, like an analyst, mature analyst. Oh gosh. Anyway. Let's quickly have the tactical breakdown in the first 6. Crucial in every game. Maruti Suzuki Arena presents Power Play Conversations. Okay, Rohit Sharma's form. Let's get cracking. He needs to fire. It's a team that now is looking at, where did they, I think 9th today? Yeah, after the Sunrisers lifted themselves up. Rohit Sharma, what can we expect? What would you advise for him to just get going?
Well, he needs a big score and he needs to pick his bowlers. He needs to spend a bit of time without being defensive. Sometimes he goes ultra aggressive. He did that in T20 World Cup. But I think this team demands a lot more from him because for him and Ryan Rickelton to find form and give them the base is so much important.
Yash Dayal made it, I think, the 7th time. Left arm quick has got him. What have you got?
Well, I was just thinking back to St. Lucia when Wasim mentioned the T20 World Cup, where he really laid into Stark in that T20 World Cup second group phase game. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how he approaches it, whether he sort of tees off like he did that day or whether he goes for the slightly more sedate version.
There was a lot of emotion in that game involved. There was a lot of, is bhadas a okay word to use? It is, no? Yeah, it's okay. No, it's not a bad word. Yeah, I mean, I've said it, but I'm just checking with Wasim. It's basically, how do I explain bhadas to Matt? There was the
anger,
that kind of a frustration.
Like he was playing
Like me
Australia.
watching Rajasthan Royals.
No, that's a different frustration. You're not invested in that. He wanted to just take out all that emotion from the World Cup 2023 loss, and he also knew that a win would throw Australia out of the World Cup. So it was that kind of innings. Now, matchup against Stark, however, in T20s is 2 dismissals in 6 innings. The strike rate is 200, so he is likely to take down Mitch Stark today if that is any evidence to go by.
Well, he's somebody who likes the pace onto the ball, and knowing Mitchell Stark, he goes for wicket up front. So in that case, he sometimes give you boundary balls as well. That could help Rohit Sharma's to get back in the form.
This could be the place, could be the day. They need it now because Mumbai Indians are not where they want to be. They're second from bottom on the points table. Sunrisers have shown how one game can change things. Let's get first innings predictions of the first game at Delhi. Remember, 230 or something is some average score here. God only knows what. Matt?
215 for MI.
215. So you're lowballing it a little. Yeah. Wasim Jaffer?
I'm going to say 225.
Okay. Piyush is going to have the luxury of watching one ball. Piyush?
One ball won't make a difference. I'll go 210.
Okay, so between 210 and 225. That's where we think the game will stand. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's pick up the chat at the end of the Mumbai Indians innings. Join us then for analysis on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.